Genesis 36 verse 43 to Genesis 39 verse 16. Duke Magdiel, Duke Iram, these be the dukes of Edom, according to their habitations in the land of their possession. He is Esau the father of the Edomites. And Jacob dwelled in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought to his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably to him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brothers, and they hated him yet the more. And he said to them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For, behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and, see, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright, and, behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brothers said to him, Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams, and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brothers, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and, behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father, and to his brothers, and his father rebuked him, and said to him, What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow down ourselves to you to the earth? And his brothers envied him, but his father observed the saying. And his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, Do not your brothers feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send you to them. And he said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray you, see whether it be well with your brothers, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and, behold, he was wandering in the field, and the man asked him, saying, What seek you? And he said, I seek my brothers. Tell me, I pray you, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brothers, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near to them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer comes. Come now therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit, and we will say, Some evil beast has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, Let us not kill him. And Reuben said to them, Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand on him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him, and they took him, and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and, behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spices and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said to his brothers, What profit is it if we slay our brother, and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be on him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brothers were content. Then there passed by Midianites merchants, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned to the pit, and, behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. And he returned to his brothers, and said, The child is not, and I, where shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat, and killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the coat in the blood, and they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, This have we found, know now whether it be your son's coat or no. And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast has devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth on his loins, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, and he said, For I will go down into the grave to my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's, and captain of the guard. And it came to pass at that time, that Judah went down from his brothers, and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and he took her, and went into her. And she conceived, and bore a son, and he called his name Er. And she conceived again, and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived, and bore a son, and called his name Shelah, and he was at Chezib, when she bore him. And Judah took a wife for Er his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Er, Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said to Onan, Go into your brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to your brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his, and it came to pass, when he went in to his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, why he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at your father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brothers did. And Tamar went and dwelled in her father's house. And in process of time the daughter of Shua Judah's wife died, and Judah was comforted, and went up to his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira the Adullamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, your father-in-law goes up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath, for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned to her by the way, and said, Go to, I pray you, let me come into you, for he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, "What will you give me, that you may come into me?" And he said, "I will send you a kid from the flock." And she said, "Will you give me a pledge till you send it?" And he said, "What pledge shall I give you?" And she said, "Your signet and your bracelets and your staff that is in your hand." And he gave it her, and came into her, and she conceived by him. And she arose, and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adulamite, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, "Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside?" And they said, "There was no harlot in this place." And he returned to Judah, and said, "I cannot find her." And also the men of the place said, that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, "Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and you have not found her." And it came to pass about 3 months after, that it was told Judah, saying, "Tamar your daughter-in-law has played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by prostitution." And Judah said, "Bring her forth, and let her be burnt." When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, "By the man, whose these are, am I with child?" And she said, "Discern, I pray you, whose are these, the signet and bracelets and staff." And Judah acknowledged them, and said, "She has been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son." And he knew her again no more. And it came to pass in the time of her travail, that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass, when she travailed, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound on his hand a scarlet thread, saying, "This came out first." And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out, and she said, "How have you broken forth? This breach be on you." Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother, that had the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zara. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house, and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person, and well favored. And it came to pass after these things, that his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." But he refused, and said to his master's wife, "Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I. Neither has he kept back anything from me but you. Because you are his wife, how then can I do this great wickedness, and sin against God?" And it came to pass, as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he listened not to her, to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time, that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and was fled forth, that she called to the men of her house, and spoke to them, saying, "See, he is brought in Hebrew to us to mock us. He came into me to lie with me." And I cried with a loud voice, and it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled, and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his lord came home.